My name's Scooter. I'm the third assistant director on the Miss Fisher murder mysteries. One of my jobs is to look after and coordinate the extras on set, getting them ready in the morning, dressed, made up if they need to go for a haircut, and then once they're on set, and I set them in according to the main action. So we look at a rehearsal with the main action, and then we populate the room, the back of the shots with our extras. We are doing a bit of a dockside protest here. So Mr. Waddington is a man who's in his office and he is refusing to bargain. He's refusing to come out. He's refusing to even talk to you guys. You guys are angry. You have got to be very aware of the scene and what's happening within the scene. Quite often there's specific plot information being given that's meant to be secret. You have to be careful. You don't want to put an extra behind someone as they're imparting crucial information that no one's supposed to hear. We try and be aware of the main action, listen to the dialogue, and also not setting in stuff that's going to be distracting to the main actors. So you've got to find that balance between making the room look full but also making it look real. And sometimes when you're shooting it out of sequence, it doesn't feel real, but when it cuts together it actually looks more real than it felt on the day.
It's lovely to actually get to explore a different era and see what it was like back in the 20s. You feel very glamorous with all the hair and makeup and hats.
Because it's a show that's set in 1928, the extras have to have a very unique look, and that not just comes down to costume and hair and makeup, but also how they look, because people with long hair, no go, people with tattoos, no go. So every person that appears on camera is seen before they come in on the day for costume and makeup. Every outfit had to be fitted, from shoes, pants, tops, and because it's a very specific look, it's quite often suits. It's not just a jacket and a pair of pants. And so if you have someone pull out at the last minute, it's not as simple on a contemporary show. You can just go, oh, who else have you got? Everyone's been fitted pre-shoot day. And a lot of the extras were just excited to be involved in the show because they'd read the book and they were fans of the style of the show. To have our own unique murder mystery show with a strong female lead character is very rare in this country. And the extras played a very big role in selling the look of the show and selling the style of the show, I think.
It's great. I love dress-ups.
It's been very exciting for me because it's the first time I've ever done this. So
really first day?
Yes.
And I've done it for 31 years.
There's a particular party scene that appears a major part of episode 12. There's a big fancy dress party, and we had about somewhere between 30 to 50 extras, and they were all dressed in these amazing fancy dress outfits. And it was quite incredible to see all of this detail in not just the costume but the look, the hairs, the wigs, the costumes. I've never seen anything like it on an Australian television schedule or budget, that we've been allowed to just go nuts on this sort of look. They were just incredible. You just go, wow, I can't believe I'm standing here in the ballroom at Rip and Lee and it's full of people that are just dressed like this, and you're going, I want to go to a party like that. I want to throw my own fancy dress party.
As the Director of Photography on Miss Fisher's Murder Mysteries, I had discussed the look with both producers and set up director Tony Tills. I presented a lot of reference material as a visual cue. Films like Coen Brothers films, television series like Boardwalk Empire and things like that all had elements in them that I thought would work for Phryne. The look is striking, and I think Essie looks beautiful. And we maximised the locations.
Is there anything from that camera position past Essie to the boys?
We did extensive tests on some materials and the look and the colour and their association with the set. So what Essie Davis would be wearing as Phryne Fisher in this set or that set, and the colours and tones and the reflections of that and the relationship to her makeup and her look is pretty much right across every department of the show, apart from the departments that he runs, which are the gripsmen, which are responsible for the safety and movement of the camera, and then the electrical department with doing all the lighting, and you've got might have a half a dozen or more people in a camera department that all need to be coordinated. As part of the creative team, you get involved in colour options for makeup. There might be considerations for actors and their skin colour and a style blood, what colour is the blood going to be, and lipstick, the colour of lipstick's very important. If you've got anything on your leading lady's face, that all has to be a consideration. It's shade, colour, darkness, depth, foundations, all sorts of things. It was a show filled with many highlights because of the nature of each episode was different. Phryne enters a world and as a viewing audience you go in and you see whether it's the cocaine trade and jazz music or whether it's subversive communist activities. Each of the 13 episodes had a thrilling element, which was the freshness of going to a new world. So we had an episode set against the wonderful world of a circus, and we had the whole circus to play with. We recreated Chinatown in the back of a warehouse. The lighting and the camera and where the camera sits is all very important element of all those things, and that was one of the exciting things for me with the series, was having different palettes to work with and different environments.
Makeup designer. There was never any problem about Phryne Fisher's look. Kerry Greenwood did the most wonderful job of describing her. The sleek black bob, alabaster skin, remarkable eyes, ox blood lips, which I have to say is a little bit difficult to keep on when there's enthusiastic kissing involved with her many lovers. Every episode takes us different places. So there's lots of things we can go into in the 1920s, whether it's the dapper side or the bohemians, wonderful, places like the circus as well, and the theatre. So there's lots of places we can draw on. We've been working closely with costume the whole way through. Marion's been really wonderful, given us a great place to be as well. They gave us great shots of the extras with their costumes on, and then we can put hair pieces and ideas together, so when our auditionals come through, all the research is in front of them.
That's all right, isn't it? Oh, are you serious?
In the 1920s, they were just starting to explore a shorter hairstyle, mainly to do with the hats and the coats and everything. So it was a practical solution for hairstyles to the way they were wearing their clothes. So everything goes hand in hand with costume. And Phryne's out there, she's, a step above everyone, and she's got her hair cut in a nice little bob. She's not a stitched up kind of girl. She swings her hair around as well as her arms and legs. She climbs. She doesn't need to be restricted by her look. As soon as I read the brief, it was something I want to watch, somebody's given me my dream job.
Done at least 150 outfits for Essie. It's an enormous amount of work. It's great fun. I mean, we get to sort of design hats and dye feathers to go with every outfit. It's actually an amazing sort of jigsaw that goes together. The 20s was a time of extreme excess in a lot of ways. They lived a lot with gay abandon, and that's always reflected in the clothing, especially the women's clothing.
We need to establish right up front who wears the trousers in this arrangement.
Good morning, Inspector. Constable. What a pleasant surprise.
You have to start getting the essence of a character, and so you start immersing yourself in literature. You start reading about it. You have to go back into their life. The reference really to Phryne is that she's a woman in perpetual motion, and I always wanted the pieces to move with her, because she's always moving from scene to scene to scene, from environment. Because she's a woman detective, she encompasses an enormous amount of worlds. I wanted her movement to continually sort of waft in and out of things, and that's part of the 20s, that sort of sumptuous elegance.
I do approve of a man who can fight and still maintain his sartorial elegance.
Men's clothing from the 20s, 30s and 40s was intensely flattering on males. We've become Larry Low pant, but they were Harry High, and it's really incredibly flattering, and it really creates a really beautiful triangle. They just look terrifically handsome. I mean, we all look at pictures and films of, Cary Grant and Gregory Peck and stuff from that period, and we go, man, they're handsome. And that's that's the style. Incredibly beautiful period in lots of ways. They used to use a lot of buttons and stuff to weight fabric to actually get the drape. There wasn't a lot of cloth round, it cost an enormous amount of money, so they were ingenious the way they actually pieced things together. And they designed whole outfits, so everything from the shoes to the colour of the pantyhose to the underwear to the hats to the feathers to the coats, so they're whole ensembles. We use a lot of original pieces, we use a lot of original buckles, shoes, original feathers, furs. Fabrics today, they're not as fine, they're not as exotic, they're not as embellished as fabrics were in those days. So we've been using a lot of things like really beautiful Indian saris to actually get the texture. And
they're beautiful, aren't they? Look at the heels.
And over the years, you end up collecting an enormous amount. You find that sometimes the most bizarre thing, and on a job somewhere, somehow, you end up going, I know, that button I bought 25 years ago, that will be perfect.
My name's Scott Zero from Crummer Media, and we provide all the visual effects for Miss Fisher's murder mysteries. As we've come down on set and work hand in hand with our art department to sort of say, okay, well, everything to there we can dress, but everything behind or in the middle distance we'll do digitally. A lot of the time the effects that we do aren't necessarily scripted things. Like sometimes they'll say, oh, we need a specific thing to happen, which we know is going to be an augmentation or effect. A lot of our requirements are things like health and safety, art department, logistics and things like that, which of course save time on set or safety concerns. In the first episode, we have Franny arriving in Melbourne, and in the book she comes off an ocean liner, and of course the first conversation is, well, we're not going to be able to have an ocean liner, so let's move on. And it's like, well, hang on, this is what we're talking about. Let's see how we can make this happen, because those are big ticket items. They take a long time to do, and they're technical. But again, it's always about just finding that balance between what the production can do and then what we can do after.
Travelling light again. There must be some advantage to a sea voyage. Otherwise, I would have joined the Aberraries.
There's a shot of Franny on the banks of the Yarra, and behind, during the shoot, there's just a wall of modern detail. But we've been encouraging, no, shoot against that, because we need the bridge, we need the Yarra. And then we'll go in and we'll paint out everything, being able to bring Melbourne back to the way it actually did look in the 20s. And the fantastic thing is that we're all from Melbourne. So, of course, when the brief is, can we bring our beloved city back to how it used to look, is actually fantastic. And, of course, we poured into books and photographs and all sorts of references, and then try and match as best we can with them. We've been able to do things with elements which are just too dangerous to throw around on set. One of these would be, in one episode we've got a hatchet. On set we'll have the actor do the action, duck around with the prop, and usually art department come in and they'll go and they'll place the prop in place for us, and then we'll kind of reverse all that out.
That's it, and action.
It's great just being able to sit back and watch so much of it looking so great.
Read several of Kerry's books and tried to get a feel for how she is interpreting things. I was aware that Kerry was into detail, and I was going to try and match that on screen as much as possible. Franny's mansion set has to match the location, which is a National Trust house, but people actually live in the house and they can't change it. So we've got to accept that basically the house as it is on the outside. I've designed the sets to match the layout of the house. Our sets are probably a little bit bigger to allow for a little bit more camera movement, etc. Designed them all with colours and with the personality of the character in mind too. Franny wouldn't come and live in a Victorian house as it was at that time. She would sort of bring her influences from Paris and London, where she sort of spent those last 10 years of her life. 1928 in Australia, of course, is a fair bit behind the rest of the world. So you'll find that, like even today, people are living in Victorian houses and Edwardian houses. So there's all that to build on for a 1928 period. There's probably very little 1928 look or products around at that stage in Australia.
Red cordial and apple juice.
That's probably one of the nicest things about the show, and the challenge for us, because every episode has got a different flavour about it. We've gone back to Chinatown and tried to recreate early sections of that, and the eastern markets, from the docks to the mansions to the back lanes, and a lot of colour and change of environments. It's not a documentary, it's an entertainment series, and we can afford to be slightly theatrical. It certainly is a team thing. There's no way you could do it without it. I'm the lucky one. I get to draw it and give them lists and things like that, and a few plans, and they all go off and find wonderful things. This is the first production I've actually worked on where eBay has played a big part of my life. And while I'm working at my drawing board on the next set, I'll have them come up to me and say, look, this is what I've come up with. The set dressing and decoration and the detail that location-wise, and make sure that everything's right. A lot of actually those things which look like they've been there forever, actually in fact we've created. You don't realise exactly how much goes into the actual prop side of it. Every episode it's got special props. Martin, the props guy, he had to find a music box because in the storyline they get poisoned by the fumes. But it's finding those sort of things, or adapting something, or sometimes we draw something up and we get a props maker to actually make things from scratch. Phryne's luggage when she first arrived. We thought it could be Louis Vuitton style in that period, very expensive luggage. Those particular trunks were $20,000 each. So I got my props maker to make it. We selected the fabrics and we just made all the trunks and boxes up ourselves, and they looked like $1 million.
He's hit the milk truck here and then driven over the bollard here.
We've got special covers that we put over electric light fittings and meters and things like barrels. And we go up to a modern lane and cover all the roller doors and all those sort of things with fences, signs, whatever we need to make it look right, you know.
So much of our television and our films really are still are set in that contemporary setting. The reasons are it's quite easy to shoot. You can walk into someone's house and it's all there. You can walk on the street and you can film people on the street. It doesn't matter what you see because it's all contemporary. When you're sort of going into this period stuff, everything has to be designed from the ground up. No location is just walk in and shoot. Even the historic period houses. We're now in an age of occupational health and safety, so there's exit signs, there's handrails, there's all this stuff. It makes it very difficult to do period, and I think because of that we haven't done it because it's it can be quite expensive. That's what makes it unique. The looks and the fashion and the hats and all that is actually quite luxurious and quite glamorous. It has a kind of interesting contemporary thing about it as well. I think that's where the exciting thing about this period stuff is working really well. I mean, that was always a big attraction for me with this story, was this very contemporary modern woman in a kind of period setting. Post-World War I, when everyone was quite traumatised by the events that happened. And there was also this kind of awakening and freedom that all of a sudden everyone just wanted to go out and go, life's short, let's go and enjoy it. And it really was anything goes and quite risque.
Definitely cocaine. I'm the doctor. Just to make sure.
We had the advantage, I guess, with Phryne was that it was based on a series of books, the vibe and the energy of those books, and so it was trying to kind of capture that and yet still put it in the contemporary TV setting. So you do a lot of research, look at a lot of imagery from the period. Does this sort of suit this film? No, it doesn't. Yes, this is a sort of the tones, the textures, all that stuff. When you go into a kind of period setting or a period film, there's a temptation to go very serious with it, like not serious but quite well spoken, and they can kind of go quite staid and stodgy, and so you've got to kind of keep that loose.
Why do you think you can just run off on your own?
Because I'm carrying a gun.
Friday!
And some things will suit quite a naturalistic performance in it set in that period, and some needs to be heightened. Now Friday is very much a heightened version of the 20s. We're not sort of doing gritty 1920s, we're doing top-end glamour, the fun, it's a rock. You need to kind of make sure you keep the fun and essence of that.
What happened to you? Too much champagne with lunch.
For me, it was Essie's natural sense of fun that was really important to bring to Phryne, but she's got some quite a nice serious background. I think that's important, but it's also the wonderful sense of humour that Essie has.
The art department has done a beautiful job. The bed is perfect. The decor is gorgeous. And every single detail is correct. It's the sort of thing where I think, did I write that? No, I didn't write that. Yes, I did. I did write that, and it's there. It's surprising. I love the bath. It's a perfect shape, the right kind of thing. The deco screen is perfect. And there is something extremely charming, and it's very Phryne.
Well, I remember. Careful with the hand luggage. My pistol's in there somewhere and it may still be loaded.
Of course, miss.
It's a lovely mixture of things that you inherited from someone or picked up because you liked them, and stuff that is strictly contemporary. Like the love seat is definitely an inheritance, whereas the dressing table, the fireplace surround and the screen are exactly contemporary. They're perfect. It's perfect. This is precisely the colour I imagined these walls was aquamarine. Phryne has a silver dress, which I just saw the actress wearing, which will look beautiful against the aquamarine to make sure she doesn't disappear into it. The fireplace again is a perfect deco fireplace, as is the surround. There are the statutory beautiful nude ladies gilt nude ladies in this one rather than silver nude ladies. I find the shape of the room to be perfect. All of the little bibelots, the little thingies, are perfect. The smoker's friend is here with its space for matches. I am so impressed that someone should go to all this trouble. I also very much appreciate the carved horns, the history of England, the pretties, and someone has found a copy of Inside the Criminal Mind, which is actually mentioned in the book, and it's been out of print since 1938. I'm impressed. Clarice Clift, she was working for Wedgwood as a painter, and they thought that she did such original designs that she should do some of her own. And they became extremely famous, but at the time that Phryne was interested in them, she was just starting to take off. This is a beautiful room naturally it has the statutory Tiffany, but the chairs are right, and the table is a lovely inlaid table. Even the Countess crockery is perfect 1928. Well, this kitchen is a spiffy piece of work because it has a genuine American refrigerating machine, which as you see, it's got a huge condenser, very dangerous, very frightful, and ate electricity, but it did keep things cold. Here is the proper fireplace surround. This oven was made in 1926. I have one myself. It cooks very good bread. And over here are all the proper 1920s things, including a thing called a chinois, which is a fine hair sieve. Absolutely perfect. Plus the right taps, the gumption polish, which is the best way to polish things. And this is I don't know where anyone found this. This is Watkins essences, which are all your colourings and essence and your vanilla essence and all that sort of stuff. This is a beautiful piece of reconstruction, which I am so impressed with.